Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Mountain View County Night 2 of the forum with your candidates for local election. And I want to start off by thanking all the candidates who participated last night in round 1 of the forums, and that was those from Division 1, 3, and 7. It was great to see the process work out and unfold, and it was great to see them answer the questions. And we had over 80 viewers participate between the two sessions. So thank you to the public for being interested in carrying on. So this is going to be our forum this evening, first one of 2, and this is for the Division 4 candidates in the 2021 municipal election. My name is Al Kemry, and it's my pleasure to be the moderator for this evening's candidate forum. Given the nature of the COVID-19 pandemic, traditional methods of connecting with municipal candidates has been much more challenging. As such, we've put together this night of interaction to help the electors get to know the candidates better and give the candidates an opportunity to have their platform heard. A couple of housekeeping matters for everyone that's involved. Viewers are going to join us on Zoom and are encouraged to use their microphones muted. Viewers joining us on Zoom are encouraged to keep their microphones muted to ensure an efficient process. We want to avoid the background noise. Although residents have already submitted a number of questions proactively, any viewers that would like to ask an additional question can do so by submitting them through the chat box to the moderator. If time permits, we will get to the additional questions. Candidates must use their microphone system to be heard, and I believe they've been instructed on that. The night is broken up into 3 rounds for this forum. Round 1, the candidates by random draw will be permitted 3 minutes to introduce themselves and provide a short opening statement. Round 2, questions will be posed to the candidates. All candidates will have the opportunity to provide a 2-minute answer to the question. No debate will be permitted. I'm going to stress that. No debate will be permitted. In this round, we will draw the order for the first question, which will then rotate for each subsequent question to provide all candidates a chance to answer first. To conclude round 3, candidates by random draw will be permitted 2 minutes to introduce themselves again and provide a short closing statement. For those on the Zoom call, I will point out, and to anybody in the public, the recording of the forums from last night and from tonight will be available on the website. So if you have those who are asking you questions, you can direct them to the website and they can hear the same presentations that you have. So let's start by introducing the candidates in this forum. In Division 4, we have Jim Bohe and Gord Krebs, Sean Labrie, and Eric Rose. So welcome all 4 of you, and thank you in advance for putting your name forward for what I consider a very rewarding process. So by random draw, we're going to get going in the process here, and we will open it up for the first inputs. And first to go is Jim Bohe.
Thanks, Al. Welcome, everybody. Thanks to the county staff and counselors and anybody involved in putting on this forum tonight. I'd like to welcome my fellow candidates here tonight. Best of luck. But more so, thank you for taking the time and the energy to run for counselor and giving taxpayers a choice. The old saying, behind every good man, there's a better woman. Well, that's true in my case. My wife, Nola, of 33 years last month, and I have raised 4 great children, 1 son and 3 daughters, and we're blessed with 4 wonderful grandchildren. I will touch base on a small portion of my bio and life experiences. So to start with, I have 50 years of experience or involvement, I should say, in 4-H. Started off obviously as a member and went in to be a leader, and now I'm a mentor of the Sundre Bergen 4-H Club and Show and Sale. So I had 10 years of driving school bus for the County of Mountain View. Spent 8 years brand inspecting for what is now LIS. 4 or 5 years of that was brand inspecting, working at the local auction marts, checking, inspecting cattle, and ended up chairman of the board. Then I put 12 years into the oil and gas world, On the drilling side, drilling, land spreading, drilling mud, starting and running an oil water separation business, and also built and operated portable sewage plants. I've been 30 years with East Olds Feeder Association, 13 of which I've been on the provincial board. The last several as chairman. That business has given me a huge government expertise and experience at not only local and provincial levels, but at federal levels as well, with numerous trips to Edmonton and Ottawa. I can tell you one thing about them politicians. They're no different than you and I and anybody running here tonight. They put their socks on one at a time and et cetera, and they want the best in their eyes. So we just need to fight for what's best of Mountain View when we're dealing with them. Budgets aren't new to me. Time restraints aren't new to me. Teamwork is essential. Entrepreneurial spirit, out of the box thinking, extraordinary listening, get her done attributes are all important. Roads are vital to everything that happens in this county, therefore high on the requirements. Our county is unique. We need not only to be proud of that, but build on that. There are times when one sector is down and the other one is up. Food production is a large resource in our county with some secondary process, but there's lots of room for more. Oil and gas might be our biggest natural resource, but water is the most important. I will stand hard in the way to jeopardize any of our greatest natural resource, water. With that, I look forward to questions tonight and any time for that matter. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Jim. Next on our random draw is Eric Rose. So Eric, floor is yours.
Got 50 years experience in farming. I've been working the oil patch. I've been working for the county of Starland, doing the infrastructure. I've learned a lot about government budgets and council, how to work with people, the ups and downs of working with landowners and stuff. My platform is try to have this county work with other counties with roads. I live in a unique area. I live in a dead end part of the county. We're the last with the school bus, last with the grader, and last with the Sanders. And we have to start working with the other county. We have another county what goes flying past our property every time it snows, and our road is done last. So I got to a point that our counties have to start working together, and we have to work as a group. All the people ask me questions about roads. That's a number one answer is infrastructure. And we have to keep our roads maintained. And we have another issue in this county is with orphan wells. I've been dealing with a couple oil companies who have gone broke. And it's an uphill battle trying to get everything reclaimed. It's very time consuming and very frustrating. And there has to be some better rules put in place for these oil companies because the taxpayers are on the hook for a lot of money. This is my platform, and I like to have more small business open up in this county, more market gardens and stuff like that to promote this area. And it's a beautiful area, and we have to look after our timber and our waterways. And number one food production in this county is actually agriculture. That's cattle and horses and everything else, and hay production, grain. And I'd like to see better input put on that line of business in this county. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Eric. Next on the list is Sean Labrie.
Good evening. My name is Sean Labrie, and I'm seeking your support because I want to help make our community a sustainable and safe place for my family and yours. I believe in common sense government, community safety and property rights, and sustainable development. 17 years ago, I began a new challenge when my family and I moved from Calgary to become first-generation ranchers, and we established Difficulty Ranch. We run a herd of approximately 200 commercial beef cows while focusing on environmentally regenerative agricultural practices. My teenage kids attend Didbury High School, and we have been involved in band, 4-H, hockey, and baseball. I currently volunteer as a coach for Fun Team Alberta Hockey and Baseball Alberta for teams in Didsbury. After 24 years in the Calgary Police Service, I have a wide variety of experiences and knowledge that can benefit the community. Integrity, empathy and compassion, mental agility, listening and observation, effective communication, conflict resolution, and cultural awareness are just a few of the skills I've attained. My governance training comes from the numerous boards that I have worked on over many years. A major part of my ongoing learning has been with professionals like leadership consultant David Irvine and former Deputy Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, John Knapp. My point is not to name drop, but to demonstrate that I have relevant and continuous experience that will make me a contributing member to Mountain View County, even though I have not been a counselor. With my experience in team environments, whether as a member, leader, or mentor, I enjoy a challenge and am willing to step up and be a voice for Division 4 in Mountain View County. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Sean. And last but not least, Gord Krebs, floor is yours.
Thanks, Al. I'd like to welcome Eric and Sean and Jim. It's great running with you guys. My name is Gord Krebs. I live on our family farm in the Westerdale area. I grew up where I grew up. My grandson Jay will be the 5th generation working on our family farm. I graduated from vet school in Saskatoon in 1992. I worked for a short time at Pioneer Vet Service in Sundre before moving back to the farm where my wife Denise and I started Didsbury Vet Service in 1995. From 2008 to 2013, I was one of the original instructors at the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine at the University of Calgary. And while teaching there, I was Alberta representative to the Canadian Veterinary Medical Association. And I was also the veterinary school representative to the University of Calgary Faculty Association. 8 months ago, I got a member's position on the Municipal Planning Commission, and I've really enjoyed those efforts and that work. While teaching at the University of Calgary, I also ran my local vet clinic. I taught full-time in Calgary, and I ran a herd of 100 beef cows at home. So it was a very busy time, almost too busy. And in 2019, Denise and I sold our interest in Didsbury Vet Services. I'm now retired and taking a more active role on the farm, and I very much enjoy being a grandpa. Why am I running for council? I want to ensure property owners' rights are respected and paramount in the decisions made by council. I also want to increase access to senior housing. We all have parents and grandparents and friends that are longtime residents of the county. They lived here for 70 or 80 years. They pay taxes. They built our communities. They built our schools and our rinks and our swimming pools. And it just saddens me that when they get to the point where they need our help, more often than I like, they get sent to homes in Red Deer or Trochu or Linden. And that's something I'd like to work on. I also want to promote open communication and cooperation between municipalities on issues such as fire and police service, recreation, and planning. And finally, I'd like to promote the responsible resource management so we can develop in an environmentally friendly way the abundant resources that we have in our county. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Gord, and thank you to all 4 of you for your opening comments. So as I identified earlier, we go into round 2 now, where we will have a series of questions, and by random draw, we drew a name, and then we will just follow the circle around, and then every question starts with a new person going first. So by draw, we had Sean Labrie as the first person to address a question. And so the question is, given the growing trends towards construction of renewable energy infrastructure, such as solar panels and wind turbines, and the subsequent use of these energy sources compared to the traditional energy sources, what is your position on the use of agriculture land to support this infrastructure?
Thank you. I would I would suggest that we can't have big infrastructure projects taking up valuable agricultural land. Wind farms and solar farms are becoming more attractive to be used, especially in cities, but they are going to be positioned in, I guess, agricultural available areas. I don't think that using agricultural land for big projects that will take up a lot of resources, especially when it comes to roads, bridges, those kinds of things. I would be in favor of smaller regenerative energy sources, encouraging farmers and acreage owners to use solar and wind projects to benefit their operations, whether that be to provide heating in barns or electrical for solar pumps to pump out of creeks, to use solar fencers. Those kind of projects I would be in favor of, but not large industrial projects. Thank you.
Thank you. Eric, same question.
I'm in favor of diversifying, and I think we should have a solar project set up, but we should be using very marginal land, what doesn't have much of a return. There's a lot of land in this county where our sloughs and stuff, where this infrastructure could go in there and it wouldn't really affect the farmland that much. It would probably improve the income for local farmers. Farming is a pretty tough life. Most people nowadays, like me, are working off the farm just to make ends meet. I agree that we have to expand the solar power, and I think it'd be a good move for the county to designate certain areas where the land is of poor quality and use these areas for the solar power and the wind turbines. And this is one way you can produce some new jobs and create new energies for this county. There's still a lot of old oil well sites which could be used. Sometimes I think it's better if we just leave those sites alone instead of getting them put back. We could set up the infrastructure on some of these old lease sites. Most of that land is contaminated and it costs a fortune to clean these sites up. For example, that site in our property is probably a $1.5 million cleanup. So they could have put solar panels and everything, the gravel, everything was in there, the infrastructure was there. So I agree that we should be using all the sites, what we have in this county. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. And Jim Bohay.
Thanks, Al. That's a great question. Solar panels, turbines, the wind in the south. I hope we don't get that much wind up here. We've got quite a bit this year, but solar panels, I think, could be something. They need to be actually proved a little bit more and actually find out if they are feasible. As Eric mentioned, marginal land, we got a lot of orphan wells in the country, reclaimed gravel pits that are not too good for much else, contaminated or retired gas stations can't pass their environmental study. All those kind of places are great spots to have this sort of thing and don't affect the good productive farmland. We got to look at green, there's no question. Sean had good comments on the fencing and stuff like that to keep our costs down. But no, I think that we just really need to look at the spots that we have where this will really shine if we decide to go that way. Again, reclaim gravel pits, abandoned oil wells, orphan wells, and retired gas stations. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. And Gord?
Thanks. Worst thing about going last, they have to go first next one. Answer the question, really good points. I think using some of the existing oil leases and those kind of things is a great idea. I mean, the areas are already taken up, and I just can't imagine new alternative forms of energy taking up greater or bigger areas of land than the existing resources do already. I think solar and wind power and water turbines are something, they're the way of the future. We're going to have to look at getting cleaner sources of energy. We all use energy, we all need it. So we need to be responsible and develop it. And nobody wants to see 40 or 50 or 100 acre solar farms. But when I think of alternative energy, I'm thinking of smaller areas, like the size of a communication tower that has a wind turbine or something like that. And I think that's a great idea. Understanding there are issues with wind generation too.
Thanks, Gord. Okay, question 2, and this will be for Eric to be the first one to address this question. The ability for a municipality to provide high-quality services is directly tied to the taxation received from businesses and residents. Councillors have the flexibility to maintain services with small incremental tax increases, or increase services resulting in higher taxation, or decreasing services resulting in decreased taxation. What would be your position on this?
To, mic on? Yeah. We have to increase our taxes reasonably to do this infrastructure like computer systems, telecommunications. It all costs money, but we can basically budget maybe a 2 or 3% increase in a few years and just keep an eye on the way we spend money. It's very easy to go overboard, but we have to move with the times, and time is money. And we have to get in a 22nd century here and get this stuff working. Like around our place, we have terrible cell service. I got hurt. It's only way I could get out was on a landline, and like cell phones aren't all the answers in this community. They're good, but they don't work. And satellite phones have the same problems. If you're not in a designated area, they don't work. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. And over to Jim Bohe.
Thank you. A slight tax increase may happen, but I think before we do that, we have a lot of stuff to look at. We could enhance our existing businesses and infrastructure around here. We have this county has an unbelievable resource of industries. We got gravel extraction, we got logging, we got oil and gas, the list goes on. If we could enhance and build on that, this is a county that would be a pick for businesses to come to because everything that's here. So we could build on that a little bit. I think we could hold the line and keep stuff up. Now, having said all that, with all those businesses in here helping taxes and stuff, that's more traffic on the road and what have you. So, sometimes can we, how do I say this? Could we do less with and hold the taxes? Or if we had a bunch more happening here and we increase the taxes just a bit, but it would help everything else in the county. So I think there's lots of ways of looking at it. We just need to be creative and promote this county. We're doing a good job, but we can do a better job. And secondary processing, we've got so much stuff happening in this, so many different industries in this county. If we could do that extra secondary process and build more businesses here, I think you'd be surprised what could happen. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. And Gord Krebs.
Thanks, Al. I guess I'm going to say this a few times tonight, but my role as councillor, I think, is to relay, or would be, to relay the wishes of my voters. So it really doesn't matter what I think, whether taxes should go up or down. It's whatever my constituents want me to present to council. So I think that's an important thing to remember. I think what you're asking is what I personally think should happen. And what I would say, the feeling I get talking to people is, I think constituents would rather maybe give up a few services in lieu of raising taxes. I wonder if there wouldn't be a possibility of outsourcing some of the services we have now and privatized companies rather than the county doing it. I realize there might be lots of issues with that, but that's something to look at. If it's more efficient for a private company to do some of the jobs that the county does now, that might be a way of saving money and not raising taxes. And I'm a little bit leery of it's great to attract new business. I absolutely want to do that. I think that's a great point. I don't think we want to raise business tax anymore when we do personal tax, because the businesses are what employs the people in the county and keeps it going. So I don't want to dump it on the businesses. But short answer is I would rather give up a few services in favor of not raising taxes.
Thanks, Gord. And Sean Labrie.
Thank you. My preference would be to encourage economic development. I think that we can have more companies, more agriculture, more home-based businesses to increase the tax base, and therefore, not have to raise taxes. The more people putting into the pot would allow taxes to remain the same. That being said, I also would be in favor of, I don't know if I would reduce services, but I think that we could manage some of our resources a little bit differently, whether that be encouraging different traffic use patterns so that roads aren't wearing out or bridges, or potentially encouraging other agricultural practices. So again, my first choice would be to encourage economic development, and my second would be to manage our resource deployment. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Okay, moving on to a little bit of development focus here. And this, Jim, you'll be the first one to answer this question. Many landowners feel they have the right to first parcel out from an unsubdivided quarter section. What is your position on the first parcel out policy?
Thanks, Al. Well, it's what I call a precedent setting situation. It's been that way in the county for some time now. Pretty well a given that you're going to get the first one out. So in everything that we do, we got to look at the precedent setting situations. So I believe that to keep family in the country, family farms going, we need to allow family to be able to, in this case, take the old family farm out of there or an acreage out of there so that they can move in there. It does create more tax dollars coming in, and every extra residence like that helps. So I think that we have to keep it that way. We hold it to the size. I know the county has restrictions on the size, and not take a lot of land out of production. Thank you. So yeah, I think that we have to keep it's a precedent setting, and it's not a lot of land going out, and it keeps the families growing. So that's where I stand on it.
Thanks, Jim. Gord Krebs.
Thanks, guys. This is actually what I was getting at in my when I mentioned about property owners' rights. And this is something I've learned a lot about sitting on the MPC, and I really thank the people on there for helping me get an opinion on this. But without sounding unprofessional, I think first parcel out on every quarter section in the county should be a slam dunk. I think every landowner should have the right to a 3-acre country residential acreage. A lot of times that's in the financial planning to keep the farm going, or it's in somebody buys an acre or a quarter section with a house on it, and the only way they can afford to do that is if they're able to subdivide that acreage off. So having just gone through it with our family, it's absolutely essential that great grandfather can give his great grandson a 3-acre parcel, especially if it's a first acreage out. I mean, I'm not in favor of pod acreages and some of those kind of things, but every quarter section in the county should have the landowner should have the right to take out a 3-acre country residential acreage. People that are denied that are giving up a huge amount of money that might have been their retirement plan, or they might be denied the right to, there's quarter sections in the county that denied the right to subdivide off their homestead even. So those people are forced to sell the entire quarter and move out of their existing house when they go to retire. And I think that's wrong. Thank you.
Thanks, Gord. Sean Labrie.
Thank you. I'm very similar to Gord. I believe that every quarter section should be allowed a first parcel out. That could be part of a business plan to make that quarter or the whole entire farm economically viable. That's important to enjoyment. You need to be able to do what you want within reason when we're talking about setbacks, environmentally sensitive areas. As long as all of those conditions are met, I believe that you should be able to enjoy your property the way you want generally, and as well as be able to economically or make that quarter economically viable if that includes first parceling out. Thank you.
Thank you. And last on this question, Eric.
I agree that 3 acres should be allowed to be subdivided a lot easier. And there should be a non-restriction. If you got a yard with a creek through it, you should be able to get a bigger parcel. I have an issue around our area. I have neighbors who have split up quarters of land, and they only moved in the area for a year, and they took up 4 subdivision. I've been in this county for 50 years, and when we do a subdivision, we have a hard time getting it passed. And I think 3 acres is kind of small. I think the county should look at least 5 to 6 acres and see if they're using the land for other things like running a small business or something. We should let people do this, and it will create a little more tax money. I don't think I wouldn't mind paying an extra $200 or $300 if I had 5 acres to 3 acres. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so the next question, and this goes to you first, Gord, and along the lines of development. So development, whether it's residential, industrial, commercial, or intensive agriculture operations, inevitably has an impact on adjacent land uses, including traditional agriculture producers. What would you do to balance the necessity for development versus the interests of those that reside in the area?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I think we need to have some rules, or like, I hate putting rules on things, but it should be first come, first serve. If you don't buy a house on a golf course and then complain about golfers. So if the feedlot's there first and a person decides to put an acreage beside the feedlot, that's absolutely their choice. They know what's there. I don't think they should be able to complain 2 years down the road that they don't like the smell of cow manure. Vice versa, if an acreage is on a piece of land, that feedlot, you shouldn't be able to go in and set up an intensive livestock operation across the fence from that subdivision. So it's personally, I think it's got to be whoever's there first should call the shots. And my comments before about how the acreage first subdivision out should be a slam dunk. I'd like to clarify that, and it relates to this too, is it provided it doesn't interfere with the neighbor's enjoyment of their property. So this is the same thing. If you're putting an acreage in there or an intensive livestock operation, to me, whoever was there first has the biggest say.
Okay, thank you. Sean?
Thank you. I think the county's done a really good job already under some of the land use policies with making business districts throughout the county, like the one at Highway 22 and Highway 27, Natook, the racetrack down by Carstairs, where where development can be encouraged, or bigger development can be encouraged. All of the confined feeding operations, there are 2 or 3 nodes, I guess you could call them, that encourage confined feeding operations within the county. And you can apply for exemptions so that it's not 100% decided already. But I think that the direction we're going with the land use portions where you can have bigger development or confined feeding development, I think that's the direction that we are going and need to be going.
Okay, thank you. Eric?
To start looking at the bigger picture, if you got a big feed lot and if I buy an acreage, you have to live with that. The point is, nowadays, if you want to increase a feedlot, you have to get county approval. You just can't go in there and build it. And another thing we have to watch when we leave these business open up, we have to watch our watersheds or our water isn't contaminated. And they have to start proving how they get rid of their liquid manure if they plow it in. We have to give big business breaks on this because that's what creates jobs in this county. When we don't do this, we're going to stifle our county here. Like any development, if it's a good development, should be approved on its merits. And if it doesn't have good merits, you don't let it go through. That's all I have to say about that. Thank you.
Thank you. And Jim Bohe.
Thank you. Well, I think there's a great balance to be had here. The county, I think, has done a great job with area structure plans throughout the county. I know there's been a few done in our areas out west there. Land use bylaws, as Sean alluded to there. There's definitely areas in this county where you're confined feeding, your Hutterite colonies, your feedlots, your bigger dairies to fit in. The west country out there, the west half where Eric and I are out there, it's certainly not good land to have a big intensive livestock. You got to haul your grain, you got to haul all that stuff for a long way. So I think we're blessed in this county with different areas that we can really work with, and I believe honestly that the area structure plans are helping that a lot. So I think we're on a good start doing that. Obviously, like Gord has some good points where first here, you kind of got to live with that, and I think a lot of people do that. I hope a lot of people got the foresight to go around and look at what they're buying and what's their neighbors. So, but if they don't and they go in afterwards, that's kind of too bad. But anyway, that's where I stand. I think our area structure plans and the footwork that the county has done and the local associations that work with them is got a whale of a start to keep this under control. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Okay, so this question starts off with Sean. Question is, water, both quality and quantity, is a limiting factor on future growth. How do you plan to balance population growth and business expansion while maintaining sufficient water supplies in a warming climate?
That's a pretty big question, Al. I think that the county has already started some of the infrastructure with regards to the water pipeline that was brought down from the north going all the way south through the county along Highway 2A. I think that was a great start on managing water mostly for industrial and residential use. With regards to agricultural use, I think that the programs that the county are involved in with alternative land use services, with the programs that we have through the riparian enhancement through the county, those are providing alternatives for agriculture to look at how do we mitigate our impact on surface water, whether that be dugouts or creeks or natural springs. So I think that both ways, both residential, industrial, as well as agriculture, the county is putting its best foot forward to help manage water quality and quantity to be used downstream, as well as for the people that have it running through their place. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Eric Rose, your comments.
You're sticking on a very sticky topic. Water is our biggest resource, and we have to plan on how we're going to use it, not waste it. Like around our place there, all our creeks are getting fenced off thanks to the county of Mountain View and taxpayers' money. But we have to put our foot down and like on Sun Pine and some of these logging companies, because they have a bad reputation of logging down right to the Red Deer River corridors, and then we get silt in our rivers. And our provincial government has done a very poor job in managing logging companies when it comes to waterways. I see that around our place, and it's if you go out west, you can see the same mess. They don't care about the water; they just care about profit. And we have to make our provincial government accountable, and these logging companies how they do their logging practice. And that's our biggest threat to our water system, is the way our land is left out west with silt and mercury and lead coming from rotting wood. That's all my comments on that.
Thank you. Jim?
Well, water and quantity and quality, that's kind of near and dear to my heart. I'm a well witcher, so I go around witching wells for people and have the ability to find new wells and quite enjoy that. But also my past in the oil patch and in the sewage disposal business and the oil water separation business has given me a lot of insight into the possibilities. And as science develops on a day-to-day basis, there's so much stuff out there that is exciting. It's going to happen. When it's going to happen, I can't tell you. But one thing I don't like is, and I don't like saying the negative side, but I don't like fracking, using fresh water for fracking in the oil patch. And there is technologies out there now that are close or very close to allow them to use produced water, clean up the produced water that normally just puts down in back in a cavity to be forgotten about. This way they can clean up that produced water and use it again for fracking and other industries that require a close to fresh water quality. So that would enhance the freshwater, the quality in our rivers and streams for other uses. So I think science is very close. We're blessed with the Olds College up here and their water, gosh, I can't remember. Their wetlands that they're using there to experiment in cleaning the water, situations like that. So I really think that it's something we really got to worry about, but there is light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not necessarily the train. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. And Gord?
Yeah, great comments, guys. I'm going to go back to the fact that as a counselor, well, two things. I'm not an expert on water management. I don't pretend to be, but if that comes up and it's an issue, I think we can all agree we do the research and come up with, educate ourselves and educate our constituents on the issues. And again, the counselor's role is to bring back the constituents' concerns. So as far as water goes, water quality and quantity has always been a worry of mine. I mean, we can't make water, and the more people in the world, the more water we're going to need. So we're going to have to start thinking about this. And you know, maybe one of the things we do is the area structure plans and all these things give us a goal to work towards, and that's great. If you go back to the first parcel out idea, maybe instead of having 4 or 5 acreages on one quarter and not on the next, they could just spread out around the county, and that might be a way of conserving water a little bit, so you're not using a whole bunch from one place and none from somewhere else. Again, not being an expert, that would be my comments.
Well, thank you. Thanks to all of you on that one. Along similar vein, next question, and Eric, you'll be the first one on this one. How do you plan to promote environmental stewardship while developing the county's natural resources at the same time?
That's a great question. What we should be doing in the county is build more shelter belts. We have to look at way farmers like a lot of Hutterites like cleaning every tree off their quarter so they can produce all the cropland. But I think if you got a natural quarter of trees that should be left alone so it catches the snow and it creates runoff for our creeks and rivers and for our wells. And I think we have to start replacing trees. I think the county, or we should have a grant program of say you can get 200 or 300 trees from the county at a marginal cost, and we start building shelter belts around the county. And that would enhance our environment, and we would have to look in how logging companies go on private land, how they log that areas. They should have a buffer left. There's a lot of things we can do to enhance the environment by planting trees and looking at the way farms are run and how brushing and trees are done commercially in this county. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Jim, your comments.
Thank you. Yes, that is a very important and a kind of a loaded question, which I don't have a big, strong answer for. Definitely have to worry about that. Education is a big thing. We've got phones and computers and all that stuff now, and there's, like I said earlier, the college is working on water and all that kind of stuff up there. We're blessed to have a college like Olds and what they do along with the other colleges we got here. So I think education is a huge factor. We have the technology nowadays to educate people. I certainly need some education in that thing, and I think we can all probably stand a shot of that. But yeah, I echo Eric's thoughts there on tree belts and stuff like that. The county already, and there's ways and means of getting trees planted. So I better leave it at that. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Gord?
Yeah, thanks again. It goes back to, I'm not an expert. I'm not an environmental engineer or mechanical engineer or anything like that, but there are people out there and the science is there to develop our resources responsibly. I don't have the answer, but I do know we're going to have to do that in the future. The public's going to demand it. And I think we have to be careful not to be hypocritical. I mean, we all want good cell service and we all want good gravel roads and we all want wood to build new houses with, but nobody seems to want the cell tower on their land or the gravel pit anywhere near them, those kind of things. So we have to be cognizant of that don't be hypocritical and we all use these resources. We all need them. Let's figure out a way of doing it while maintaining our environment.
Thank you. And Sean?
Thank you, Al. The Mountain View County is already an absolute leader in environmental stewardship and sustainability. I sat on the Ag Service Board for the last 5 years, and I have seen a huge uptake in environmental stewardship throughout the county. That includes farmers and ranchers. It includes county land that is actually managed by the county. We as a county are involved in numerous programs. ALICE, which is Alternative Land Use Services, Alberta Conservation Association, AWS, which is shelter belt related management. It's truly amazing how much environmental stewardship we are already involved in. I believe it was Jim who said education. That is where we are right now. As part of the Ag Service Board, we are out there trying to educate, get more people involved in these programs to try to get them to become more educated, to try a program, to try some new technology, or just try some old technology like putting up a fence and keeping the cows out of the creek. Again, Mountain View County is already a leader, and we are showing the rest of the province, again, with our ag plastics recycling and our the pesticide jug recycling. Again, we are absolute leaders, and we are looking, and the rest of the province is looking at us. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so that deals with that question. So I just want to point out to the people at the table, I know you sit there and I've been in your position and you get thinking and you're not quite sure of the question by the time you're number 4. So if any time you are not sure of the question, by all means, just ask for clarity again, because I don't mind reading it a second time to make sure that you haven't lost your thought process. So the next question now, we'll begin with Jim again, and going on a completely different path. Rural crime continues to be an issue in many areas of the county, with frequent reports of suspicious activity and in some instances, property theft. Given the large geographical areas of the county and the fact that in 2022, the county will be responsible for contributing over $700,000 directly towards RCMP policing costs, what do you feel the municipality's role is in rural crime prevention?
Thanks, Alan. What a timely question. The county's role. The county's very strong with Crime Watch and range patrol. I know there's some involvement there. We need to increase that. I honestly believe the situation out there right now is going to involve not only our county, but all the other counties and municipalities and towns around us banding together and putting a little leverage on the government to get the judges and the lawyers involved to have more of a sentence on these folks that are doing all this stealing and theft and what have you. That right now we could have 3 times the policemen out there, but when they get a slap on the knuckle and a week later they're out of there, it's not doing a darn bit of good. So I think we got to look a little wider and broader at what the problem is and start leaning on the judicial system to be a lot tougher on those individuals who are mostly repeat that are doing that. I talked to a person the other day, said 70% of the policing staff and sundry, 70% of their funding was directly related to this stuff. Well, that's hogwash. We need to get that under control. And I guess I believe the best way to do it is combine with our neighboring municipalities, towns, and start putting some pressure on the judicial system in the provincial government. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Gord?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, rural crime is becoming a huge issue. It seems like you can't even watch somebody drive down the road anymore without worrying they're stealing from you or your neighbors. So, and that's a sad state of society. Rural crime watch is a great thing. The grazing people watch cattle out in the grazing leases and those kind of things. But I agree with Jim. It seems like the criminals have more rights than the victim, and I think that needs to change. I'm not sure how long that'll take to get that change there, but I think the biggest thing now is that the municipalities have to work together in cooperation with all the towns on the County Mountain View to share the policing. And when I said earlier how maybe we could outsource some of the services, I was not referring to police or fire or any of those. I mean, those are essential services. And I think we need more policemen out there. I've talked to people on the west side of our division that west of the Bergen store even is the Disbury detachments area. Sundry would be a lot closer, but they use the Bergen Road as the dividing line. So RCMP get called out to west of Jim's house and they have to come from Didsbury. I mean, that's an hour drive or 45 minutes drive. So that's unfortunate. Maybe those jurisdictions could be adjusted, but I think at the very least, we need more policemen. And I think the ratepayers would be happy with if they had to have a tax increase, if it went towards more police and fire services. I think that would be legit.
Okay, thanks, Gord. And Sean.
Thank you. So I don't believe that policing can be judged on a cost recovery basis. It needs to be judged by how safe and secure the residents of the county feel. Excuse me. With regards to more police, that obviously is more money. I think that this may be a time to discuss a little, or to just bring up the fact of, a provincial police or regional policing. I think that needs to be re-looked at. I know that the county has forwarded their opinion that regional or, a provincial police is not the way to go. It's my opinion, and a lot of other policemen's opinion, that RCMP is a bit of an outdated organization. They have a 100% tax payer funded pension. They are extremely heavily supervisor dominated. They're slow to respond to the needs of local detachments. Just like anything else run by the federal government, slow and cumbersome. It cannot react to regional demands quickly. I know that the county said that the ratepayers are in favor of keeping the RCMP, but I can tell you that I have never been asked what my opinion was. None of the policemen I know have been asked what their opinion was. I can name 50 policemen that have left the RCMP to go to regional or city police. I can name 5 who went from city police or regional to the RCMP. Thank you.
Thank you. And last on this question, Eric.
I think we have to I think we should get a provincial police force that work with the RCMP. Our biggest issue is we have to get our federal counterparts in Ottawa, Justin Trudeau, to start laying the law down on criminals. I had an incident in my place there. They stole a truck. They ran it through some fences and they destroyed some of my property. And the only way I would get any justice, if I would take that individual to court, I would have to prove that I was out this kind of money, and I disagree with it. When somebody does property damage to you, that person or the persons who have damaged your property, they should lose their passport, their driver's license, and their livelihood till they pay for their crime. Our justice system is too easy on criminals. They just let them go. They get a slap on the wrist and they're gone. And this is our federal government's doing this, and you can talk to the Ottawa, and you can talk to the province, and their hands are tied. Till our government in Ottawa starts getting tough on crime, we're going to have the same problem over and over. Thank you.
Thank you. And now down another little bit different path. And this will be Gord. You'll start this question. Provided that healthcare is a provincial responsibility, yet the COVID-19 pandemic has affected residents and businesses greatly within Mountain View County. What role do you think the municipality has to play in response to the pandemic, support the provincial mandates, and implement the restrictions placed by the province?
So I'm not sure if I answered this politically correctly or the way I would answer it, but I go back to a counselor. As a counselor, I relay my constituents' concerns. So, I mean, you guys all know what I do for a living. My education, my career has been based on biology and science, and I'm a proponent of vaccine. If I said anything else, I would be hypocritical. But I'm also a proponent of people making their own choice. So as far as what the county goes, I could have my own personal opinion, but if there's 99 of my constituents going to weigh in on this issue and the vote is 50% in favor of non-vaccinating and 49% in favor of vaccinating, I'd have to vote non-vaccinating. But as far as the county goes, I think we should be promoting the province's mandate. We have to act as leaders and show that. So again, I could go off. I mean, my role as a veterinarian would be to try to convince people the safety of the vaccine. But I understand where they're coming from. Nobody likes putting foreign stuff in their body. I would be happy to have this conversation with any constituent, but as far as how I would act as a counselor is I would relay whatever my constituents desire.
Okay, thank you. Sean?
Thank you. Since healthcare is a provincial mandate, I believe that the county's role in that is to enforce however the provincial government sees that their mandate direction. And then after that, I think that Mountain View has to be there to support businesses, provide a stable landing point when the pandemic is over. So if we can provide, I'm not exactly sure what we need to provide, but we just need to provide stability in our decisions when they come to taxation, when they come to any of the demands we're going to put on our constituents. Stability is what they need to recover, and whatever decisions we are making, regardless of what they are, whether they be economic or if they are social when it comes to housing for seniors or any of those kind of things, we just need to provide stability. Thank you.
Thank you. And Eric, your comments, please.
This is kind of a loaded question. I've been working in different counties and we're talking about COVID all the time. Like, we have restrictions too, we have masks. And I agree with some of the policies with the government, but I think it's up to individuals to mandate their own style of life. I think the county, we have to mandate what the provincial government wants done, but you have freedoms to say no too. But it's a real tough question to really answer. To me, I think everybody should be vaccinated in Alberta, but that's my personal choice. It's not everybody's. And I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. And Jim.
You know, that is a loaded question. And sometimes being last isn't always the best spot to be. I have to basically agree with everybody here tonight, in particular with Gord's, our representatives, our taxpayers that we represent. We have to go with what the majority of them say. I know the county has to stay with provincial mandates. They don't have a choice. Yeah, I can't really say any more than what these folks have. It's a tough question. It's a tough situation. I wish we'd get out of it soon. I don't think we will. And maybe we'll have a tough winter and it'll all freeze and maybe we'll be back on track. But sorry, I can't add any more to it.
Well, thank you. And it is not an easy question, but this one's even tougher for some. And it is a loaded question, but it came from the people on the chat box. So I'm going to put it in. It fits in the last question. So the question is, and this will be Sean, you'll be first. You can answer it yes or no or whatever, but I'll leave it up to you how you want to handle it. If you are successful in your bid for in your division, will you have any problem declaring your COVID vaccination status?
No, I'd be happy to declare my vaccination status. I am double stabbed. Thank you.
Thank you. Eric?
I I'm double stamped with my COVID shot. I'm going to get my third one.
Okay, Jim?
Going around in a hurry, I would have no trouble declaring where I'm at with my status.
And Gordon?
Yeah, double vaccinated. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. You guys answered that so question. I lost my, that's so fast, I lost my spot. Okay. The Municipal Government Act, and this will be Eric first. The Municipal Government Act requires each council to establish a code of conduct that governs the conduct of councilors. Have you reviewed the existing Mountain View County Code of Conduct, and do you intend to sign it? Jim?
To be very honest with you, yes, I have reviewed it. Have I done it in depth? No, I haven't. I don't think I'll have any trouble doing it, but I would certainly want to do it in depth before I say I would sign it.
And Gord?
Yeah, I've reviewed it, Al, and actually, I don't have a problem signing it. There's one point of clarity I would like to have. Is it appropriate to say that now, or?
I'm not sure we want to get into the policy itself, but
Okay, I don't have a problem signing it. There's just one line in there that it mentions the lack of authority vested in a councilor to direct its CAO. And then a little further down this page, it talks about that CAO is the only employee of council. So it's a little bit contradictory. I'd just like some explanation on that at some point.
okay, and I'd love to get into that with you, but it's not my
I know.
role today to do that, so thank you for that. Okay, the next question goes to Eric. Or Sean. Oh, sorry, Sean, yeah, see, I did it.
Yeah, yes, I have reviewed it, and yes, I'm willing to sign it.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your patience. The next question is Eric. In 2018, council approved an economic development strategy to provide direction on economic growth within the municipality. Do you have suggestions for improvement of the current plan? What is your plan to grow the local economy in Mountain View County?
My local plan would to give businesses a tax break and give incentives to business to set up business in this county. Give them a lower tax break like Linden has done. Develop our industrial areas a lot better and give incentives for creating jobs in this county. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim?
This is something I've given a fair bit of thought to. We have to be careful in setting precedents again on lower taxes for companies coming in. I definitely think with the wide variety of industry people we have in our county that we can grow that. Big thing for me is the secondary processing. I think there's a huge opportunity for that in our district from east to west, doesn't matter what end of the north, south, whatever end of the county that you're in. I guess I would look at maybe a little help on taxes the first year, but I think we got to be very careful there. I just think that promoting what this county has and drawing the new business that I believe is possible in here is the best way to promote economic growth. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Gord?
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely the way to develop the economy in the county is to attract more businesses into the county. I'm not sure lowering taxes, it would have to be for a set time, a short period of time, because it seems to me that's like chasing your tail around if you're giving a business lower tax breaks. And then when they come in, it costs the county more to maintain the roads and the supply of the water and that type of thing. But one thing, just personal experience, when I moved my vet clinic and built a new vet clinic in Didsbury, I was the first business across 582 on the north side, and the town of Didsbury wanted to expand that and make that an industrial area. And they made it really, really attractive by selling cheap lots. So, and I was the first business over there, and you look at it now, there's probably 35 businesses or something over there in the last 10 years. So I'm thinking potentially the county has some areas of land around that they could exploit and maybe attract businesses into the county by giving them a cheap place to build their industry and then tax it from there. Fairly tax it from there, because like I said, I don't think it's fair to put an extra tax burden on businesses because the businesses employ the people in the county.
Thank you. Sean?
Thank you. I'm not really in favor of tax breaks to corporations or companies. That being said, I also believe that the county has to remain competitive in the business attraction market. Excuse me, our economic development services does a great job in trying to attract new businesses, to encourage businesses that are already here. They work with the intermunicipal collaboration committee, which encompasses the entire county to try to get services and businesses to work synergistically within the rural parts of the county and within the corporate limits of the towns to encourage any kind of business into the county, and then to determine where that business can thrive requires the cooperation between the towns and the counties. So I think that, again, I think that our administration is doing a pretty good job of making those encouragements, and we're not giving out a whole lot of tax breaks, but we're still remaining competitive because we are still seeing an influx of infrastructure and business development within the county. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. And your one comment kind of takes us into the next question. So Jim, I believe you're next on the docket. The county maintains intermunicipal collaborative agreements with 10 municipalities as required by the Municipal Government Act, with 5 of them being rural, so the other counties, and 5 of them being urban, being the towns and village. How do you feel you would be able to strike a balance between what is best for the county and its ratepayers compared to what is best for the county's relationship with its municipal partners?
Well, that's a great question, Al, and something I've also given some thought to. I believe that let's just go down the road trail for a little while here as we work on our roads and try and enhance them and build longevity into them and stuff like that. There's all those other counties around us to learn from. They can learn from us. We can learn from them. The same as the cities. So to create a balance there, I think it's just to be honest and open and share ideas equally with one another. Kind of that 4-H, learn to do from doing. So you get a little knowledge from their mistakes and from their wins, and they get knowledge from our mistakes and their wins. I think great communication, openness, honesty would balance that out. I think it's a huge opportunity for a win-win. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Gord Krebs?
Yeah, thanks. You know, I guess I'd like to think that we've got more common interests than common differences when we deal with our neighboring municipalities. And I'm an example kind of guy, so I would like to, I can't imagine what would be good for the county and bad for the town of Didsbury Rolls, or good for the county and bad for the county of Rocky View or something. I mean, I'd have to think about that to come up with something. But I think it's all about communication. I think we have to get our councils together and get back to talking with each other, realizing that we all have common goals, and we need to, I think the intermunicipal collaboration, the way they were, is we have to cooperate, collaborate, coordinate, and communicate. So I think that's going to be one of the big jobs for the upcoming council.
Thank you. And Sean Labrie?
Thank you. I wish I could use my previous answer for this question. I know I kind of touched on it in my last one. That being said, I think that when when the county or when our partners are trying to encourage development, I think there needs to be, like Gord was saying, a lot of communication. We need to determine where the best fit is, whether that is right in the middle of a town, right in one of our country business in, industrial kind of areas, to determine that it's best for everybody. Just the cooperation, just having a chat and encouraging those businesses to come and talk to everybody at the table and determine where it can best be implemented. Thank you.
Thank you. And Eric Rose.
Yeah, so I think it's time that all the counties start to work together. Like if somebody has a great proposal and this county has a better supply of water, I think the county can supply the stuff for that business should get the business. And this way we could sort out what businesses can go to what areas for land use. Graham Heller there just opened with co-op fertilizer. They opened a big plant there and they worked around the Starland County and the other counties to have the fertilizer company come into that area. And that enhances the whole area, makes process a lot easier for farmers and trucking and infrastructure. That's all I have to say about that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the next question goes to Gord. And again, this is a question directly from your division. There's been quite a few of these are directly from your division. So access to dependable high-speed internet continues to be a challenge for many residents, especially those located in the western part of the county. What do you believe the county can do to ensure that all residents have access to high-speed internet?
Yeah, I was actually amazed driving around Division 4 when you get out in the southwest corner. All of a sudden you got no cell service, and I don't know how people live these days. I mean, I'm not a techie kind of guy, but I don't know how you get along without having good internet, good cell service. It's a safety issue. Sitting on the MPC, we've had numerous applications for new telecommunication towers or additions to existing ones to increase the service area. And it's the same old thing. I've heard several times driving around that everybody wants better cell service, new services, internet, but nobody wants a cell tower anywhere near their place. So I think we have to think about that. But I don't think we have to do much. The cell companies are expanding and they want to get the services out there. It's amazing the advances they made in the last 5 years. But I think the only area that I know of driving around Division 4 anyways, and I guess I got to stop speaking for Division 4 and start speaking for all the county. But the southwest division area of Division 4 is definitely needing increased cell service.
Thank you. Sean?
Thank you. I think that this is a great place for the county to invest in some other infrastructure rather than roads. I think that there's the possibility to use some of the county tax recovery land to have towers put on to increase the service, using some of the forest reserve. I believe those are provincial, but I think that, again, if some of these government lands were used for some of this infrastructure, I think that would show a lot of people that the county was serious about having them come in to set up their home-based businesses, to set up their families in this county. Again, like Gord was saying, it's a safety issue out there. So if we can show good faith as a county by developing some of that infrastructure, I think that would do a lot to increase our tax base. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. And Eric?
You just burn my bridges on cell towers. We had a cell tower up at our place, was sitting above Jim Bohay's property he bought, and Telus had the great brains of knocking it down. We had great cell service, and now we got very minimal service. This kind of shows me that big business doesn't really care about the little guy. I got hurt. I had to get Stars ambulance to pick me up. A cell phone didn't work. Only thing that saved my life was a landline. And there has to be some pressure put on the cell companies to improve services. And that goes all the way from west of my place right to Water Valley. Elkton area is a dead spot. You got 8-9 miles in there. There's no cell service. And there should be better ways of resolving that problem. I have a lot of people complained about that, and I've been through that whole area. And I live out there where I basically have one bar, and some days I got no bars. And I think it's time that the county and the provincial government put some pressure on our tech giants. And same with the internet. Telus is trying to bring us high speed. Well, I got a satellite dish. It's not a lot faster than what Telus is, but that's, I think, maybe subsidize people who need a faster service by helping them to pay for the satellite internet. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And Jim?
Being in that last spot again. Interesting topic. Something happened in the West Country 10 days ago. I think it was 10 days ago. We had no internet, no cell service, no nothing for all one day. It woke us all up, showed us how dependent we are on the damn cell phones, but irregardless, they are the thing that we need nowadays, it seems like. And like Eric said, police and ambulance out there. For some reason, the hospital and the schools had internet that day, and I haven't been able to find out why or how they had it, whether, I don't know why. But so there is a possibility of getting it that way somehow. But yes, there needs to be more towers. There has been some new towers. There's some areas west and north of us that had no service, like Eric's talking about before. There was a tower put up. Now there's an area that's got it. But with the hills and the valleys that we have out there, we're pretty unique, and there'd have to be a few towers go up. These satellites that are coming, is that the answer? I don't know. But definitely for essential services, police, ambulance, all that kind of stuff, we do need to put some pressure, and maybe we got to go to the provincial way. Something has to happen. It's again, we're very unique, and it's a big problem. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And just to stay on time, we are going to have one more question. And Gord, you will be no, Sean, you're the first one on this question still, aren't you? It was your turn. Just make sure I don't lose my spot. Okay. So this is the final question before we do our wrap-ups. So to Sean and all, what is the biggest issue that you feel is currently facing the county, or an issue that will face the county in the next 4 years? And if elected as a councillor, how would you work to deal with it? It is you, Sean. Thank you.
Thank you all. I think our biggest challenge is trying to work with the provincial government. They have reduced all forms of taxes that we get a portion of. They've reduced our fine surcharge by 50%. They no longer are interested in paying for infrastructure upgrades. So I think that there has to be a lot of collaboration with the provincial government to get that mechanism back to where the money is being used. It needs to be kept in the county instead of being, sent to the provincial government, and then they give us a portion. We need to keep our money here, as well as keeping the I guess the overall the money that we need to operate in the county. something a little closer to home. I think that we need to deal with the contract with fire services in the county. I know that the contract or negotiations have kind of stumbled, and we need to provide some security to all of our volunteer fire departments out there. They need the training, they need equipment to keep our homes and our families safe. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Sean. And Eric?
Yeah, so I think we have to start dealing with the provincial government and get a little tougher. Our government seems like they have money for other things, but when it comes to policing, fire departments, EMS, we're lacking funds in this county. Like I got hurt, it usually takes 2 or 3 hours to get an ambulance ride, and if you're stuck in Red Deer to get a CAT scan, those ambulance attendants have to sit around and wait till you're done, and they stay with you. And this is costing the taxpayers a lot of money. I think we have to hire more EMS staff. We have to hire and train more people in the fire department. They can contain wildfires. We have to watch the program like they have in BC. Fires are getting a lot worse and they're a lot more dangerous than what they have in the past. And we have to have the manpower and we have to have the tools and the equipment to stop these fires, because if they once spread, our West Country can burn up and it's gone. It'll take 150 years to regenerate. And people have to think about this. It's when a fire starts, it's too late. If you can't put it out right away, it's gone. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Jim, your comments, please.
Okay, that is a fairly loaded question. Definitely, we need to work with the provincial body in Edmonton and try and even the feds and try and come up with some kind of a thing. I think our biggest issue right now is the population explosion that we're dealing with. We need a lot more fire and theft and police and everything else to deal with the amount of population growth that we have. One area that I look at that shakes my head is the cost of the provincial and the federal elections. If we could save a little bit of that damn money, that would go a long way in helping these issues. But yes, I think just collaboration with the provincial government, with our surrounding municipalities and governments, counties, trying to come up with some kind of an agreement where we can work together to help each other. It's a big, tough question. Do I have all the answers? No, I don't. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. And Gord.
Yeah, thanks. So I guess I'd like to start, I'm going to reiterate on something I brought up earlier, but I'd like to mention that I have no hidden agenda going into this. Absolutely not. I'm just running for council so I can represent the constituents. But you asked what my major concern would be. So I think it would have to be recognizing the rights of landowners and balancing their desires with things like the area structure plan and land zoning. Giving people the right to do what they want with their property, provided they don't interfere with their neighbor's enjoyment of their property, I think is something we need to work on. And how do we do that? My experience with the MPC has been, honestly, it started out as a little bit frustrating, but there's some people in there that I found really good to talk with. I think we walked away at the end of about 4 hours of conversation, agreeing to disagree, but respecting each other in a huge way. And these people were huge in asking me to run for council because I think they maybe saw that I had some valid points. I mean, that's what we need to do, is work and communicate and not be upset by each other if we disagree. So I really want to thank those people for encouraging me to run. And that's how we work out fixing this, is over the next 4 years, whether I am fortunate enough to be elected to council or I continue sitting on MPC. Either way, that's something I'd like to work towards, is just improving the recognition of landowner rights. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Well, and thank you to all of you for addressing the questions, and nobody passed on a question. So that's very good. Credit to you. I do need to point out that after 17 years on council, it's really hard to sit here and not get the debate going, but I have a job to do. So that's my role. But that concludes our round 2 in this forum. We're now in the transition to closing statements and that part of the evening. Each candidate is permitted 2 minutes. So by random draw, the order will be Gord Krebs first, Eric Rose second, Jim Bohe third, and Sean Labrie last. So Gord, you have your 2 minutes.
Okay. Throughout my youth and veterinary career, I think I've shown that I'm a hardworking, honest, trustworthy, and approachable person. I'm a farmer, a retired veterinarian, and a grandpa. If elected, I'd be honored to add your counselor to my list of jobs. Like I said before, I see the role of counselor as a person who works for the constituents. Your issues will become my issues. My responsibility will be to ensure you have all the facts and then relay your concerns to Mountain View Council. It might sound political, but really it's not. The rural people of Mountain View County have been very good to me throughout my career. You guys built my vet clinic and gave me a great living. And if you elect me as counselor, I might be able to repay some of that kindness. Thanks for watching. Thanks to Mountain View County for hosting the council. And it's great to meet you 3 guys. And I think we're giving the constituents of Division 4 some tough choices to make on. And the last thing I'll add is please come out and vote on October 18th or before if you get a chance. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Gord. And Eric Rose.
To all the people in the county of Mountain View, I'm honored to run. I would serve you. I'm very intense about the environment, our infrastructure plan, roads, schooling, land use bylaws, and the way the West Country is going to be kept and for the next few generations. There's a lot of concerns in this county which have to be met. Cell phones and computers is issues. And we all have to work through it. I hope everybody will come out and vote on the 18th October, and good luck to all my candidates. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Jim Bohe.
Wow, what a great evening. Lots of great questions. Thanks, Mr. Kemery, for mediating and all those involved in this evening. I'm not going to stand up here and tell you that I have all the answers. Heck no. I will say that I'm prepared to listen to the taxpayers. Can I promise to fill every pothole? Pass every subdivision? No, I can't. I will work hard to be effective and efficient with your tax dollars. Can we do more with less? I hope so. Can we diversify and do more with more? Also, can we build on a strong foundation, diversify and broaden the strong industry base we already have to prosper everyone in this county? I think so. The 7 counselors and the staff can't do this on their own. We need and want your input. You are an important part of this team. If elected on October 18th, I will do my best to make the right decisions, encourage my fellow taxpayers to be involved, listen to your concerns, and more importantly, your solutions, and take them to council. Being quick to listen and slow to speak has done me well in my life. In closing, please cast your vote on October 18th. You can help me make the difference. I will finish with a pledge that I live by. I pledge my head to clearer thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to larger service, my health to better living for my county, my community, my country, and my world. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. And closing comment, Sean.
Well, I'm honored to be to have the last few words tonight. The street smart education my police career has given me, the business and financial literacy that owning a ranch has taught me, along with the governance I have learned from sitting on many boards, steering committees, and organizations, will help me to represent you and Mountain View County in a most positive light. I also would like to thank Mountain View County and Mr. Kemery for this opportunity and this evening. My fellow candidates for putting their names forward. True bravery. This is a difficult thing to do and to have to sit through. And my final words are, please get out and vote on October 8th and vote Sean LaBrie for your Division 4 councillor. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. And thank you to all of you for your participation this evening. Best of luck to you all, because this is a very rewarding process, but very stress-filled. And thank you for committing yourself. Thank you to the public who signed in today. I'm not sure how many participants we've had. About 35 participants on this call. And thank you for the questions that the public has submitted. That's puts the value in this conversation. And we have a list of, now the list is probably 25 questions long. And so you didn't get them all by any means, but it is great to see their engagement. So with that, this concludes our Division 4 Candidates Forum. I want to thank you all for the participation in this forum. Later tonight, Mountain View County will be pleased to offer the Division 5 and 6 Candidates Forum starting at 8 o'clock. So those two groups are together in one group. To access this forum, please leave this meeting. So you have to leave this meeting, go back to the county website and pick the appropriate Zoom meeting and information off the county website. I encourage all the residents in Mountain View County to use the website and go to the website for the election information. Be prepared for your advanced poll that's coming up on October 9th. And then thank you for participating in the election. Please come out and vote. This is your chance to set the direction for the future of the county. So again, thank you to everyone and enjoy your evening.